Hi, beautiful friends. It is David Ault. Thank you so much for taking a little bit of your time to join me here for the gathering. A lot has been happening lately. There's been a little bit of time off and a lot of preparatory work for something huge that's happening here in Atlanta this weekend. That thing is the premiere of the screening of our full-length feature documentary for the nonprofit Kaleidoscope Child Foundation. If you are new here, you may not be aware that that's pretty much the central focus of my current life's work. It's running this organization that began over 20 years ago now. And as is natural for us for things that are our work or our creativity, we will often think of what will happen to this after I'm gone. Those things lead to discussions about succession plan. And for us, it was how do we go about setting ourselves up to secure an endowment? An endowment would be something that would help us provide insurance, if you will, so that the work, the global education, the life skills training, the clean water, all of the things that we have provided to vulnerable territories and children around the globe, how might that be able to continue? And to do all of that mindfully, not fearfully, but mindfully, and to open ourselves up to the greater possibilities of what that would look like. And so we had said, oh, a documentary would be great. And lo and behold, if not 2 months after that discussion, a documentarian came into our field of awareness. The discussion happened. And all of January of this year, January of 2025, was spent overseas filming this. It was a huge undertaking. And the fact that just last week we were given the opportunity of watching a rough cut is a little bit of a miracle in and of itself in that film world because there's so much involved. That's 80 hours of footage that have been reduced now to about an hour and 40 minutes. And some really incredible things happened while my husband and I were watching this link. First of all, deeply grateful, just in awe of the skill of how this director and his team were able to make something far beyond our wildest hopes. It is so beautiful and so powerful. And it is that thing that would, as it sits in our kind of portfolio and it lives on, hopefully, and it brings awareness to the work, that maybe that will be an instrumental link in helping us acquire the funds to keep it going for as long as it's intended to go. So there was that part. It was just tears in our tears, lots of tears in our eyes as we watched it. And then the interesting other additional piece to that was observing my own feelings because I have spent the greater part of this year in lengthy discussions with the creative team, telling them, please, 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 please focus on the work. Don't focus on me. Don't make this a personality centric film. Make this about the resilience of children, the resilience of the work. There was this fear, I will just call it that, a fear in me that this could actually do more harm than good. The world does not need a white savior complex film. Um, and as I expressed my feelings and they honored my feelings, I said, this doesn't have anything to do with me. It's about the way in which anyone can say yes to something and then fully lean into it. And I want everybody to walk away going, even I can do that. I don't want this to become an exceptionalization. And they, again, they listened to me and they kept assuring me that The organization is here because you did those things, so it has to be a part of the storytelling. So I watched it. They did a really great job. And yes, the part of me that held those fears did have to breathe heavy a lot because there were a lot of people that came out of the woodwork and they said some very loving things. And it was a beautiful gift. And now here's the interesting part. I began to watch myself post watching this rough cut film um, fall into this weird, teary, emotional place because all of us have things in our lives that have significant meaning. Those things that have significant meaning, there is the natural proponent within us to want other people to feel the same depth of meaning that we do. It's natural. Whether that's your children, whether that's your creative expression, whether that's just your place in life, we all want to have that honored and seen, if you will, at the same capacity that we crave that for ourselves. And so for 20 years, I've been asking for money to support this work. For 20 years, there has been the comings and goings of all kinds of people and all kinds of opportunity and growth and seemingly failures, the ups and downs of anything that is a part of the human life. And yet that meaning has maintained. It has been the North Star. And so what came to me after watching this film was, okay, David, you thought you were pretty good at non-attachment, meaning you've arrived at a place where you understand that the only thing to do is to ask and to keep asking and to keep asking and to keep asking. But in that process, always watch and let go of attachment, of whether or not someone responds, of whether or not someone finds it significant, whether or not they are just completely indifferent. To just watch all of that, but get up every morning and continue to focus on asking because you know that there's 8 billion people in the world and you can spend the rest of your life and still not reach everyone. So you just get up every day and you do those things. And I thought that I was pretty good at that. I will admit to you now that there was still a good portion of that that was still intellectual. Because now what I saw was that, oh my God, with this film, there's 8 billion people in the world. How many people are given the opportunity to have a documentary made about something that is personally the most meaningful thing to them? And now what are you going to do with those seeing it and being indifferent? I don't know if you were able to follow that, but it was like you're good, David, at practicing what you're preaching at this level. Now we're going to bring it up to this level and let's see how you do with that level of exposure to indifference. What I am attempting to say here is that each time we develop a muscle, a mastery of non-attachment to certain things, it's almost as if there's now a new arena of opportunity of more things to be non-attached to, and yet to continue to show up. It's the weird dance that we as spiritual beings are asked to do, or we have come to dance in this human world. And it's a tremendous refinement for you and I to keep showing up, to keep to keep getting up and moving into the calling that is so personal for you, that carries so much, again, meaning, right? And to understand that you will still be met by indifference. You will still be met by indifference. And are you willing to still get up and do it anyway? So that was the big takeaway, but hit with such tsunami like force. Like, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this next level of indifference? That I became ill. I got a sinus infection that I'm just now getting on the other side of. And it has been incredible to watch. It has been incredible to witness that practice, that spiritual opportunity to be taken into a whole different realm of arena. And so I start to imagine, here's some wild examples that I would think about. I started to think about all of the famous painters like Van Gogh and others who struggled their entire lifetime trying to get people to appreciate their art. And he and so many others like them only achieved success or recognition after they had died. And yet they still got up and they painted. And I think about how you get up in the morning and how you continue on, and how oftentimes I will call it a battle, the battle with the indifference, the struggle and suffering with the expectation of wanting the outside world to say it a certain way, to give it back a certain way, the transactional looping that we get caught in really does promote a lot of heaviness for us. So I want to acknowledge that part that you go through. I want to recognize that that is a real thing. And we are so resilient that we have built up mechanisms to sort of deflect all of that, to even not face the emotion of that, the tsunami of trying to get by, the tsunami of trying to maintain and honor our sense of self-worth when it feels as though the outside world does not match that at all. How do you and I, how do we together keep the light going, keep the faith going without falling into the stereotype of the martyr, without using all of that to create this narrative of martyrdom that eventually will not serve us? But how do we quietly, intentionally, with great focus, understand the rules of this game? That it isn't about the feedback out there. It isn't about it matching the depth of our meaning, because we understand that what is meaningful to us is a part of our own belief system. And of course, that's not going to be matched by the outside world. But how do we just honor that for ourselves and practice getting up, taking a breath, pausing when needed, resting when needed, nursing the physical reaction that the body gives off when needed, and still being willing to not walk on sand. What was don't build your house on sand. If the house of meaning that we are striving so much to preserve is built on sand, then anything is going to keep blowing it down. But when you know, okay, what is mine to do? What is my dharma? Why am I in this body, in this personality? Why have these particular encounters presented to me the thing that is before me? And how can I do what is before me most optimally without requiring anything from anybody else, but to just honor it and to trust and to know? Understanding that most days it's not going to look like what I had hoped it would look like. And before you know it, 20 years have gone by. And before you know it, sometimes, whew, boy, in the cosmic weaving of the world, there's an there's a documentary and it moves you to tears. And yet you still know that even with that, there will still be indifference and the work will continue and you will still be moving forward. And I know that that doesn't have like a big Hollywood ending to it. And I know that it's not tied up in a bow where it goes, and if you do this and this and this is what you get. But there is that of sorts, and it is that what we get is a sense of freedom, a freedom from the dependency on expectation, the freedom that comes, the inexplicable inhale and exhale, the freedom that comes when knowing that we are not reliant on external things, and that the reliance in and of itself is already built in, and that what will be shown to us and given to us will never be withheld. Stay true to your Dharma. Be mindful and watchful of the dependency and the need for the outer world to agree with you. Just find that reverence and that still point in yourself that knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that all you have to do is be available and the rest will follow in its perfect time.